Welcome to the Gangneung Curling Centre, home of wheelchair curling at the PyeongChang 2018 Paralympic Winter Games. This is round robin session number 7. Finland is playing the United States of America on Sheet C in our feature match. It's a full draw here this afternoon. The conditions are excellent. Humidity just a little bit higher than it has been. Conditions the athletes are going to have to be aware of as they set out on the ice in search of victory. Playing lead for Team Finland, Rita Salo. At the second position, Iiro Tapani Jaskalainen. Throwing third stones and playing vice skip, Markku Karalainen. And leading Team Finland, skip throwing fourth stones, Sari Karalainen. Finnish fans in the house. Playing lead for Team USA, three-time Paralympian Penny Greeley.
Mom, Dad, Jared,
Rookie
Grandma, Aunt,
Justin
Karen,
Marshall
Katie,
will
love
throw
you
the
all.
second stones. Playing third and vice skip, Steve Empt.
Hello to all my family back home
Captaining
in
the
Texas
team,
and in Colorado
throwing the
and
fourth
around
stones.
the United States. We love
Ever
you.
steady,
Love
Kirk
you,
Black.
Baptist Church.
This is a pivotal matchup here in session 7. There are 12 countries here competing. As you can see, United States in the middle of the pack, Finland down near the bottom, still searching for their first victory. We can look how they got here. 0-4, lost to Slovakia, the neutral Paralympic athlete delegation, Great Britain, and the People's Republic of China. This team's hoping to change their fortunes here. And speaking of change, they have been adjusting their lineups throughout. We'll talk a little bit more about that as the game progresses. Here's Team Finland. Their alternate is Vespa Lepinen. He's seen some time on the ice, but today he's on the bench. And the camaraderie of this sport evident from the get-go. Shake hands, say hello. Now we're looking at Team USA. So losses to Republic of Korea, Germany, and a big win over Sweden in their last matchup.
Oh, yeah. Let's go. Let's go.
Let's look at the lineup again. Their alternate is Megan Leno. She's from Falmouth, Massachusetts, curls out of the Cape Cod Club. They're coached by Rusty Schreiber. And a little Bonda Bees here ready to cheer on curling. So as these teams get ready to go, this is just in advance of their first practice. At the end of each practice session, the sessions are 9 minutes long, the teams throw what's called the last stone draw. It's basically a wide open draw into the house where it is measured, and the team that does better is given the last rock advantage. By virtue of Finland's excellent performance at the end of that practice, they will have the hammer, which means Penny Greeley goes first. So as Penny settles herself, make sure that rock is in the excellent position.
Why is it slipping right now? Can I get it back one more time, please?
So there's some technical difficulties. In curling, your setup is one of the most important things that you can do. It is the thing you control every time, every single time. You're going to want it to be as accurate and the same as possible. Penny's not going to risk throwing this first rock until everything is exactly perfect.
Get back one more time.
So the difficulty for USA in this is that there's a clock, and it's called a thinking clock. Each of these teams out here to play 8 ends are given 38 minutes, and your clock runs until your stone is across that big red line. So USA lost quite a bit of time there while the lead was settling in and getting ready for her throw. And if this rock comes and settles down right there in the rings, it'll be well worth it.
I don't know what I gotta do, guys.
That's a rock that Finland's going to choose to ignore. Now, Finland has been looking for their first win. This is the third game for Rita Sarosalo. They've changed their lineup a couple of times. Sarosalo's coming off a very nice game, her last game. And she's going to set up for some offense right away. Finland throws what's called a corner guard. So that's a rock out in front of the rings, but to the side, not exactly in the center. And they do that because they're looking for a place to hide behind. USA is going to try and possibly curl around or beat them to it. And Penny Greeley definitely having some issues settling into her cue and the management of how it is attaching to the handle on the stone.
I don't know if they'll let you do that. I have no idea.
12-2.
So Stone settles down very similar to her first one in the back of the rings, and it sticks around.
12-2.
I'm gonna have to change up my delivery.
So we'll see how that technical issue that Penny is facing, how she manages that throughout the game. She's got some time now since she doesn't throw a rock again until the second end. This rock here is losing its rotation. You can see it's kind of floating sideways. It didn't have enough rotation, and what happens is the rock moves a little bit out of control, over curls, and loses weight.
You got time?
Either that or drop one in. Your call.
I'll try to get it.
Drop it in. 5-6.
This is a great opportunity for Justin Marshall. He gets to throw a draw shot to open this session, and it's pretty important. Justin has struggled a little bit with connecting to the draw speed of the game. His takeouts have been very accurate, very specific. These shots are where Justin really needs to settle down. This is his first Paralympic Games. He's the youngest member of the team. He's the youngest player out on the sheet. And he comes up a little bit light, but I think that's a good opening shot for USA. It's good to get him connected to how fast the ice is and what he's going to need to do as they move forward. So as we talk about offense and defense in the game of curling, offense is generated from putting rocks into play. Defense is taking them out. Tapani Jääskeläinen, he's going to try and be a little bit offensive here and draw a rock around all of the rocks that are up in front of the rings. This one needs a little bit of pace. I think it's going to come up just short. And here's the chance for Justin Marshall. He gets to throw the same exact shot he just threw. Doing that 2 times in a row, always a benefit for these athletes. He knows that He needs a little bit more momentum on the back of the rock. You can see that comes directly down his arm and out through the cue into the handle of the stone. Nice rotation.
12-2. Backwards.
That rock's curling very nicely. You see it's tucking back, hiding behind all those stones. They would have liked that stone to be a little bit higher up in the rings, but it's a nice shot for Justin. Finish skip. She doesn't mind those rocks back there. She's going to hope that they are going to be what holds her team's stones in the rings. Eero Tapani Eskalinen gets the same opportunity Justin had, and he's going to try and make this one a little bit better. You'll see now why some of those rocks in the back of the rings might be a bit of a danger rock for USA, because it gave something for the Finland team to run into. The margin of error becomes a little bit less.
I like the draw.
But it's still a good setup for both these teams.
I had on a 12-3.
Yep.
Lots of rocks in front.
Like 13-5.
And
I think
some
13.
back guards in the
13.
back of the rings. Steve Empt, he's kind of the keeper of the time for Team USA. He's also their emotional leader, I think. He truly loves the sport. Having come into it, he had a discussion with one of the national coaches and program coordinators from the United States, and he had never heard of curling,
13-4.
didn't know about wheelchair curling, and went home, looked it up. The next day, he's out on the ice. He says he loves the math of the game, the angles, the geometry, and it helps fire his competitive spirit. And that shot right in the center of the rings, above those center lines, just beautiful. He knows the math, he knows the angles. Now Markku Karolainen, he's going to need to move that rock a little bit. So the rock's got a little bit more pace on it because he's got to move the granite. So this might curl a little bit less. As you see, it runs a little bit straighter and ends up bouncing off the rocks in the back. So that positioning, you can see just perfectly. That rock is hidden behind rocks in front. It's being held in play. It's very difficult to remove because the rock's in the back of the rings. And Steve Empt has his second shot. He's going to follow that first one. He wants to sit above it, in front of it. So throw just a little bit less momentum. And this is about a management of the ice. The more rocks that go down a path for a little while get faster and faster, and they kind of pick up pace. But Steve understands that and manages it perfectly.
Excuse me, I'll go through. Sorry about that.
Otetaanko poisto ja pikkusen vasemmalle?
Tule tänne.
So
Täältä näyttää, että pikkusen jos vasemmalle poskelle osuma, niin ne molemmat lähtee pois ja oma jää tuohon eteen.
No niin, selvä.
Kokeillaanko se?
Joo, kyllä.
So you might have noticed, those players have the same last name. Well, they're married. They are, so they bring a dynamic to a team that is pretty unique in sports. Doesn't happen very often that a husband and wife get to play on the same team in the same sport at this high a level. And the other potentially challenging dynamic is that they've been switching positions back and forth. Marku has skipped some of the games, and then his wife, Sari, has skipped some of the games. That was a nice confirmation. She wasn't exactly sure what she wanted to do. Had a discussion. They went through some of the options and decided that they were going to take action on that last stone thrown by USA. A really good choice. Opened up the path a little bit. And there it is. So now it's still a good setup. USA is going to try and replace that rock that Finland just removed. They're going to make it as difficult as possible for Team Finland to remove that yellow stone sitting in the center of those concentric circles. The concentric circles are called the house. It is the scoring area. The largest teal circle that you see, that's 12 feet in diameter. And Skip Kirk Black is going to try and set his stone right into that teal ring in the top of the house. So this rock's starting to curl, maybe a little bit early, and sitting a little bit higher than they would have liked. It doesn't really move the needle for USA. The angles stay the same for Finland. And because of the distance between the guards and the rock in the top of that 1 foot circle in the center of the scoring area, Finland might be able to get all the way around and tap it out. Or at least tap it back and create some space for Finland to score here. The vice skip there, telling Sari Karolainen where he would like his wife to hit the rock. You can see that yellow pad on the bottom of his brush, and that's the target. That's where she's aiming right now. That's where the stone starts, and then based on what rotation you put on the stone, is it clockwise or counterclockwise, the rock moves left to right or right to left. And that one just a little bit heavy, ends up sailing past. And now this is an opportunity for USA to put a ton of pressure on Finland in this opening end. If USA puts another rock right down in the rings, right in there, it's going to be very difficult for Finland to score. Let's see if he likes this one a little bit better. And it's going a little bit deeper. Line looks really good. If he's got the weight,
Got no problem with that, Kirk.
outstanding shot. That is a tough situation for Finland. There is a chance that they could get rid of both of those stones. There's a little bit of an angle. Now it's about learning from their last shot. So you can see that the target set by Finland is somewhat similar. So they're going to be asking for their skip to throw a little bit less momentum. So the more momentum a rock has, the straighter it'll go. So a little bit less, she might get a little bit more curl to the ice. She wants to get right to the face of that stone to hit it squarely, and both USA stones would go out of play. Pretty close. As it comes in, it's pretty close. She doesn't get the double, but she does remove one of the USA stones and holds USA to a steal of 1. That's a pretty good outcome given the excellent shot made by
Good start, guys.
Great
third
start.
Steve
Yep.
Ent.
That's what we do.
You good with your stones?
I think so. I think she's
And after the first end, United States of America steals a single point, and leads Finland 1-0. It's really early in the game, but we can take a look at the statistics. USA only throwing draw shots. No takeouts that entire end, all offense, and it paid off. They ended up stealing a single point from Finland. And we call it a steal because USA did not have the last shot advantage. So you're going to assume that when you have that last stone advantage, which is called the hammer, that you're going to get the opportunity to score.
5-6.
Finland didn't 100% execute on their last shot advantage, and it gave USA that steal of one. Now remember, we saw some technical difficulties with Penny Greeley's cue, and it's slipping again.
Can I just get it back once? I'm just going to push it.
So she's having some troubles with her cue. So there's a couple of different styles of delivery stick or cue that these athletes use. You'll notice them. So as she's lining that up, she's got a normal delivery that's a push, pull, release. And this time she's got to go with just the push and release. And it's going to be a little bit of an adjustment for Penny. And now you can see there's not a ton of rotation on that rock. It's only half a rotation at this point, and you can see it just going sideways right there at the end. Yeah, Penny's going to have to make some significant adjustments, and being such an experienced athlete, I have no doubt that she will. We'll keep an eye on that as we go. Now you can see they set it up as a corner guard. Now Rita gets to go right behind it. She's going to try and hide this stone right behind it. Now it's this one rotation, and she's going to get to about 1.5, maybe 2, but just a little bit too much momentum or pace on that stone, and it slides through the back of the scoring area and out of play. Oh, she's got it going now. They might have done a little bit of a fix so she can use her normal technique. Very important in any sport. When you have to make major technical adjustments while competing in the field of play at the Paralympic Games, just so challenging. Because these athletes have thrown thousands and thousands of practice stones in preparation for this, hours and hours at their home ice rinks. And to all of a sudden have to change, really, really a big, big situation. Sarasalo, she's going to get a chance to make a takeout here. So they're not going to take any chances of leaving that USA rock sitting around the center of that scoring area. This one's curling a little bit too much and just goes past. But because of the down weight, she sticks around. She's hanging on to the back of the scoring zone. That may come into play later.
14.
An Illinois native who lives in Evansville, Wisconsin, and curls out of the Madison Curling Club. Justin Marshall. Really getting a great opportunity to work on these touch weight shots. Asked to throw a guard on top of the USA stone sitting in the center of the rings.
16.75.
And puts a stone right out in front. And this creates some traffic for Finland to navigate. They're going to have to maneuver through those two stones, move to the other side of the ice. So this is a first time over here. And in charge of navigating this experiment, Jaskalainen gets this takeout going. Looks a little bit narrow, over curling, and it's gonna wreck on that guard. Oh, and oh, just really unlucky on those angles. It's the challenge these wheelchair athletes, they face because there is no sweeping. So the traditional game of curling, you would have two players sweeping. And what those sweepers do is they really help the thrower make a better shot. In wheelchair curling, because there's no sweeping, these players have to actually be perfect. They have to be perfect on their own. And it is really, really a difficult task.
I am just a little more on it.
But Justin Marsh is going to try and show us the way.
Very nice.
That's a beauty, Justin. 15,
Very
6,
nice.
Beauty.
And this setup is looking like all USA.
No, the stone.
Those, the unfortunate bounce of the angles the last time, you can see those stones lined up exactly on the center line, one in front of the other. Really difficult situation for Finland.
Joo. Tänne.
So now we're seeing a change of tactics. They were trying the takeouts. They weren't working. So now they're switching to a more offensive tactic. We're back to the draw. So that delicate touch shot, they're going to want to land it right on the center of the rings. Jääskeläinen gets the rock off. And now that's a big adjustment for this player. He just threw a takeout. Now he's got to dial it back, rein in that weight. And this one might be just a little light. And sits directly on the face of the US stone on the top of the rings. So that's the target, out on the edge of the 12-foot. Steve Empt is aiming in that direction. So right at his skip, holding that broom. And the player's lined up. His dominant eye directly behind his hand, behind the stone.
That's gone.
Sorry, get a little split.
Little rub.
Little split.
Rub it.
Little split.
Rub it.
Yeah.
There you go.
And they get a pretty fortunate bounce. They weren't happy with the line, the trajectory that stone was on. USA gets a little bit of fortunate bounce, and that's what happens when you throw weight, the right kind of momentum. Finland's going to have to do a little bit of cleaning up here. They're going to have to do a little bit of chasing. There is a port that they can go through. They can navigate this port, and they can change some of the angles, maybe remove one of the USA rocks. They were trying to get all the way through that port. They do remove two of the guards, which is nice, but unfortunately their shooter sits right out in front. You can see they were trying to get through that hole, over curl just a little bit. They end up sticking around in front of the rings. It does change things a little bit. It's your own colored stone, which always feels a little bit better when you're looking at the situation. But it's still USA in a control position. Steve Empt's going to get to throw the same kind of a guard on the other side of the sheet.
It's a beauty.
And
Nice shot, Steve.
this
Nice
rock
shot,
Like it,
comes
very
down
nice.
and sits just covering a little bit of the outside edge of the rock and blocking the path into the stone that's in the center of those rings.
Did I ever tell you you have a nice pair?
You're the best, Coach.
Now, Finland is pretty confident the distance between the guards and the rock in the center of the rings, if they throw the right weight, that this stone can curl in and sit frozen on top of the USA stone in the center of the rings. You can see it starting to curl. You see how much movement you're getting. With that counterclockwise rotation, that stone is curling. And if you can get by this stone, you might have a beautiful shot. It needs some pace, needs to go. Oh, the line was definitely there. That was a great read by the skip, Sari Karolainen, for her husband. Just not enough weight. But there's some angles out front here that might now be completely in Finland's favor. One great shot can shift the entire end. So this is a nice look at the setup. The specificity with the choices here at the beginning really make a difference with the execution at the end of a shot. So they're going to try and do the same exact thing every single time. This stone does not have quite enough rotation. You can see that it's only half a rotation down the ice. Starting to slide sideways. But it's good weight, and it ends up in an okay position. They would have liked to sit a little bit wider out, take a little bit more control of the path or the trajectory that these stones go on. So USA having a little bit of trouble with their equipment out there. You can hear, you saw the difficulties for their lead Penny Greeley with the stone slipping. And Skip Kirk Black just talked about the screw on the end of his cue slipping a little bit. So this is a similar cue to how Penny Greeley throws. So it's a pull and a push for Sari Karolainen. This rock looks a little heavy. It's just going to run straight. She's just overthrowing those a hair. And not catching the curl and the natural movement in the ice when it's thrown with that much pace.
Same weight.
So let's see if USA manages a little bit more rotation. There, you can already see a little bit more rotation on this rock. That's going to help hold the line. It's going to be a more truer line if the weight is close.
Very nice.
And they read the ice right. Rock's going to really block the access for Team Finland. Now Finland's going to take a look at lining up the angles here. You can see that there's a chance if you run the guard that's right next to the third, the finished third, run it right back into the red rocks. There's a chance Finland could score two here if the angles are in their favor. It's tough shots all around, but pretty important, this last rock, the hammer.
Se saattaisi toimia, että se tulee johonkin tähän saattaisi tulla, niin se saattaisi ykköseksi tulla.
Elikkä mitä?
Siihen yläkeltaiseen kympillä.
The options aren't great. You can see it in the face of the skip. But this is actually the best shot to potentially give Finland the score of 2 points.
No, kyllä siinä se vaara, jos se liian kova on, niin se saattaa paukasta sitten, että se ei ihan tuu sitä suoraan kohti.
Okay.
Niin.
Another nice discussion. They end up encouraging each other. No, really, it's there. You can do this. We've got this. And that's going to help build Sari's confidence as she heads down the ice. And we know she can throw the takeout weight. We know she's got that weight, right? She's thrown a couple of rocks all the way through the house, so she's got the power to create the momentum necessary. Now it's all about keeping that momentum online. And if the angles are there, this is a lot like billiards. Round things hitting round things. They start moving at angles. The geometry of it. Oh, so close. So close.
Yep. 1 yellow.
It was her only shot. She made a fantastic attempt at it. Just missed a little bit. Just hit maybe a hair too much of the object rock. And
You switch anything?
I don't even know what to go. I don't even know what other ones to go with.
and keeps USA
I didn't try them all.
keeps USA scoring. And after 2 ends, Finland's still looking to take advantage of that last stone that they've got. They're down by 2. And again, USA sticking with only draw shots. Only draw shots. This is so unusual. But given the situation and a couple of misses from Team Finland, it's really dictating the play for the United States of America. And they're throwing rocks into the rings and then putting the cover on it. Finland's been going back and forth with its tactics, much like its lineup, back and forth throughout the event. And they're really going to need to settle in, stick with the game plan here in this third end, and try and move some pressure. Make a couple of better shot selections and then a little bit higher execution.
Get back one more time.
And put the pressure on USA. USA is still struggling with its equipment. And they're managing it okay right now, but as you can feel, their clock is starting to tick. They're spending a lot more time than they normally would on these shots because they have to reset them every time. And that's going to impact them as the game goes along.
2 is better.
Get done, check 5 and 6.
So with not enough rotation, that rock just loses momentum and moves absolutely sideways. We've seen this a couple ends in a row now, but USA's come out ahead. If Reita Salo can put a rock into the rings behind that line and above the center line in a much more of a controlled position than the back of the rings where she has been, Finland will have a very nice setup.
14-8 Ritu.
A bit of an overcorrection here. She sits in front of the rings, but that's not a terrible spot. That ends up being okay. That's likely the shot she would have been asked to throw if USA hadn't put a rock out there as well.
Real big boom.
And because of the difficulties with her cue, lead Penny Greeley is still having to adjust her technique. So that means her momentum is generated in a different way than she has practiced. And that stone sits a little bit short of the rings.
5-5-6 right now. Work it. Work it.
This is an opportunity. Finland getting it one in there. Just one stone in behind cover will change USA's tactics. USA might start to have to throw some takeouts, which they have not done once this entire game. This looks like it's got very nice line. It's going to get around. Does it have the right weight? Moving pretty quickly. It sits in the back of the rings.
Draw down.
Finland would love for that rock to be a little bit higher up in the
You
rings.
got plenty of room to draw. I like to draw.
Draw.
You got plenty of room there.
USA
12,
sticking
two in
with
the
what's
back there,
worked.
Justin. 13 will be
13.
perfect.
After a little bit of discussion, they've got some options. They could start trying to take out some of those guards in front of the rings. But it's hard to remove all three of those stones. They're going to use a little bit of offense to create their defense.
Walk. Come on.
Bite.
What's happening?
14.
14.
So that zone sits up a little light. You heard the number 14 yelled out. 14 is the number of seconds that rock travels between the two foul lines, or the two hog lines. It's how they measure the speed of the ice and what's going on. Lots of granite piling up out front. So this seems to be, it's not just a USA challenge, it's a Team Finland challenge as well. So you see target being lined up, cue pulled back, and that extension. That's where all that momentum comes from. But for these athletes, the push and the pull back creates their timing and creates their rhythm. And without that, it's really difficult. So as you can see, that was another little bit of a miscue there. And Finland struggling a little bit here statistically, just not getting the production that they need. The opportunities are there.
Well, that looked good.
Yeah, it's gonna be a little light. Get it inside.
Get on the nose of that, tap it up, would be nice.
Yeah, it worked.
Oh,
14-3.
So this ice is, they're just underthrowing these. So they just need to put a little bit more momentum on them. It's now whoever gets around there first and sits in the really strong position. This may be the moment for Eero Tapani Escalinen. This rock has a very nice trajectory. If it can get past, does it get past? Beautiful shot and incredible weight. You can see that that stone sitting out in front of the rings, up in the top of that 8 foot, it just gets by that guard. Oh, how did it do it? It just got by, finishes beautifully, and sits up in front of the rings. Remember, Finland's got the last rock. They are looking very strong all of a sudden. It's all about one shot. Making the right shot in an end really changes the amount of pressure. Now, Steve Empt is going to throw the first takeout of the game for USA. Skip's looking to see if the angles are there to run this stone back into one of the finished stones on the scoring area. Steve Empt's been playing at 94% with his draws. 94% the player of the game gets the first takeout.
Get out of the way. Get out of the way. Get out of the way.
Over curls a little bit. And now there are no good angles for USA to run things back. And Finland's got a chance to lob another stone into the scoring area.
Well, now we're going to have to go back to that.
So that's the trajectory. Markku looking to hit that nice line, grab the natural curl of the ice. You can see it starting to move with that clockwise rotation, but it just over curls a bit. Now this is choice time for USA. There's no good angles out front. There's nothing they can run back. It's a lot of granite to try and move.
A little more in that room?
Probably more.
Take a little more, Kirk.
So they're going back to Steve Emp's expertise.
Yeah.
Gotta travel a long
That beautiful
way
draw weight that he has put into play near perfectly this whole game, and ask him to put a rock into the center of the rings, tucked around all that giant wall of granite out front. Looks a little wide. Just sits a little wide. It may be first count. It's hard to tell from these angles. But it is open. So Team Finland's going to try and take this stone out. You can see that they've got a path to it. They can see it. And the husband-wife duo from Rovaniemi, Finland, over curls just a little bit. Wrecks on the guards out front. And now all of a sudden the angles are very different out front. There's some stones that are free and clear. Teams can use them to run back in.
Good shot. I don't want to worry about clearing that red guard. You think?
I don't know if they're shot or not.
Red's got it.
All right, let's come around and tap it.
We're not shot. This is shot.
All right.
Okay, so after taking a really good
You had
look.
me out here, right?
Yep, by that phone. Yep.
A little bit more weight. Keep the same broom, a little bit more weight. You got it, bud.
USA is going to try and just tick the stone they just threw and make it the count rock. So the yellow rock on the right side of the screen that was
Need to
just
tap it
thrown
What?
by USA
6
third
inches.
Steve
Yeah.
Ent.
Just a little
13.
touch.
I think 13 will
It
be
needs
fine.
to be moved, just a couple of millimeters to be the count rock. So remember, there was some equipment trouble for USA Skip as well. Talked about the screw on the end of that delivery stick being a little bit loose. He's going to need it to be tight, and for himself to be pretty perfect. This is a very precision kind of shot. He needs both the perfect line and the perfect weight.
Go, 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 go.
And just a little bit light, and it over curls.
Oh, I thought that thing came out hot.
Huh?
It looks like it came out hot. Good shot.
So after every shot, the teams chat and they go through the process of what happened, the speed, how much it moved, and they make sure they learn from each shot, whether it was perfect, whether it was a half shot, just so that when they get the opportunity to throw it a second time, that they know how to make it. So it's another opportunity for Finnish skip
Joo, sitä mietittiin kyllä.
to tap a stone into the rings. She's going to make a double promote here.
12. 12.
She wants to
12.
use the yellow stone, the USA stone, to run it into the Finnish stone and tap it into the scoring area. So this is kind of wired or lined up. And boy, does she take advantage of that. Oh no, it just goes a little bit too far. Just a little bit too far, but there's a lot of Finnish stones in the house. If they can find a way to have access to remove the US stone, Finland could be looking at a big score this end.
What I need, about another 6 feet?
Yeah.
You can throw it.
Yep, same line, just a little bit more weight. You got it.
I know.
No. Not too much more.
So the USA stone is wide open. Kirk Black's going to try and change that. He's going to try and tap it up and block it off. It's a lot more rotation on this stone. Runs absolutely straight. Runs absolutely straight on him. Finland's got a shot 4-4.
Tämä pois.
Mut pääsenkö mie siihen?
Pääsetään sinä tuohon.
Okei.
Tässä on 4 pistettä sitten. Kannattaa yrittää. Mikä voima?
Understanding the significance
se
of
sama.
this.
Se oli 10-4 tuo äskeinen.
Oho, okei. No se on se suunnilleen se sama voima.
Joo. Eikä 10.
10.
Joo.
Understanding the significance of this opportunity. Making sure that they know the kind of weight and they discuss the line that is necessary. And there's some space between the guard and the rock that they're trying to hit. If she throws the right weight, she can get right to nose, tap out the USA stone, and it would be for 4. She's having a little bit of a difficult game. We haven't seen a ton of made shots. It's not how many, it's sometimes which exact ones and when. This would be a pretty good time for Finland. And it's Skip to get hot. It's close.
Yes.
And she does it. That's 4. 4 on the board for Finland. And all of a sudden, struggles no more with this perfect shot. They go from 2 points down to 2 points up. And there's the confirmation. Finland, 4 points. United States of America, 2. They've got the last stone advantage in this next 4th end.
Yep,
1 to 8.
Yep, change it.
One end.
I think they're telling them
Couple
down there
of
is
1 out of 2.
perfectly timed made shots, and Finland takes the lead.
Yeah.
Now it's up to Rita Sarosalo to get them going and get them going strong. Keep that momentum in Team Finland's side. Great command of the weight. Over curls maybe a little bit. They'd like that to be in the center of the rings.
You can hit this.
USA going to try and take out here. This has a nice line. Hits and rolls to the other side of the ice. Nice shot there for Penny Greeley.
Good shot, Penny.
Now all the plays in the rings. There's no guards out front. There's nowhere for USA to hide if they want to generate some offense. But they might just be taking a bit of a breather, right? That's a difficult outcome to give up 4 points. You had control of the game. You've been playing well. But they're given an opportunity here. There's a couple things USA can do. They could guard that stone, or they could split the rings. So USA has decided they're going to split the rings. So they're going to try and create as much separation as possible between the 2 rocks in the scoring area, or hopeful 2 rocks in the scoring area. And what that does is that really limits the opportunity for the opposition to make a double takeout or remove more rocks.
13-5.
13-5.
13, so it's 13
So that rock sits up a little short, but that's a really good spot. You can see it's over there on the corner. USA can draw behind it if they need to. Finland's back, taking a second chance at making this takeout. So the second takeout for Eero. This one's got a pretty nice line. It needs to hold. It does. Just hits a little on the outside, rolls off the scoring area, but it still stays in play. It's still in the field of play. If it had hit the bumper or the side of the sheet, it would be taken out of play.
Liking it. Keep going. 13-1.
This gets around, just nicks. Oh, really, Justin finally
nice,
getting
Justin.
his draw weight going there. Nice shot if it had just stayed a little bit straighter. You can see Steve Empt, the team cheerleader, the energy creator for USA, giving some encouragement to his teammate. That's a big shot for Justin. You can see when the momentum moves, when the momentum changes for a team, you can feel it. You can see it in their body language, the confidence that they start to bring to the ice. now what you hope for is when moments like this happen, when you get a little bit of a mistake like that, that you still hold on to that confidence. So reminding yourself that the pressure and the challenges of made shots, missed shots, that's what you've been training so hard for, and really finding a way to keep that confidence and keep it rolling for yourself, so valuable for these athletes.
$12.75. Very nice.
Very nice. Great stone.
And Justin's got it
Beauty,
now.
baby. That's a
They said
beauty.
before it's 12.75.
12.75. That's a beauty.
So that 12.75, again, that's the speed of the ice. So that's the number of seconds the stone was traveling between the two large red lines on the ice. They're called the hog lines. And as the game goes along and as stones are played down multiple pads, those speeds start to change. And how quickly the athletes adjust, notice, and manage that changing speed of the ice is really important to the successful outcome of these shots. A takeout puts the finished stone, it's not shot stone over there, but it does give them a little bit of a control of that other side of the sheet of ice.
Big room.
USA is going to try and draw around it. I think this is good news for Steve Emp to go back to throwing the draws. He was having such a great game. He'd thrown 5 draws, 85%. And all of a sudden they called the first takeout of the game, and fortunes really, really shifted for USA at that point. The change of tactics just didn't really work out, and they ultimately had misses after that several times.
13.75.
And Finland took 4 points because of it.
Good shot.
Now back to his high-performing ways. Steve Emp puts that rock into the second count position. USA is lying 2. And they've got the last stone in this end.
Otetaan vähän pois ja
Marko Karolainen gets to throw another takeout along this same path. He's probably looking to roll his shooter. Roll this stone that he's just thrown from one side of the ice to the other. Gonna take out the yellow stone at the top of the rings. Try and roll over this way. Unfortunately, he over curls, ticks his own stone, and pushes USA right into the center of the forefoot. You can see it, it's just gonna tick and come across, and the second that he ticked just that little bit of a tick off the red stone, changes the angle, pulls all the energy out of the running stone,
I don't like coming to it. I like coming over here.
and doesn't have enough of momentum to drive the USA stone out of the rings, just back into the scoring area.
Keep the middle open.
Or you come to this side.
So Steve needs to throw the exact same shot he just threw. Same weight, same line. He just needs to do that. He just needs to be absolutely perfect for the second time in a row. It's a pretty challenging task. This stone has a little bit more rotation than his last stone. It might travel a little bit further in distance.
12.72.
Tip it. Tip it.
Get some space. Get some space. Get some space.
And comes up a little bit heavier with that. Added maybe a little bit momentum and a little bit of rotation. That rock runs straighter and further in distance.
Vähennetään.
but it's still pretty
Kun ollaan
good.
kahden tahissa, sitten
Right in the
kaverille
center of the
annetaan
circle.
pohonsa.
Vähennetään.
On the 1 foot
Vähennetään.
circle with the Agitos logo. A symbol for the Paralympic Games.
Fine. Sitting pretty right now.
Joo. Mä arpensin, että pennaanko nojaa siihen, mutta... Niin, oli toinen ajatus.
So now this is about a double
Joo,
takeout.
kyllä.
Finland wants to throw enough momentum to probably remove both of the stones in the center of the rings here for USA. If she only removes one, she wants to roll on top of the other one. She can roll and nuzzle next to it. She can make a double takeout based on where those stones are. Line looks pretty close for the double takeout. But she got the hit and the rollover, so you can see it's kind of nuzzled in next to the USA stone. That's a nice shot. It's one that creates some pressure for USA. It limits the angles that they have. It ups the level of precision required for the next shot.
Gonna hit it right about here.
Yep.
We'll roll over. Nice 12.
So the fortunes of this end for USA, which have had control, are really right here on this rock. And it's curling hard.
Little rub, little rub, little rub.
Good rub.
And oh boy, that might be one of the most fortunate
That'll work.
ticks.
That's my boy.
So you saw the tick that happened to Marko Karolainen, and he ended up not getting production, and now all of a sudden USA,
I'm taking.
when you're lucky, oh boy, that's almost better than good.
I feel real good about it. I don't know about you. I feel real good about that.
So oftentimes in curling, you kind of feel
I feel mad on you.
a little bad when you get lucky like that, as opposed to being when you actually have a high level of precision. But that's what the sport's about. These round things hitting round things. The angles change. The momentum swings.
Onko valmista?
And this Finnish skip looking for a lot of production out of this last rock. And she makes a great shot. Absolutely great shot. USA now, almost the best they can do is draw. There is no way to hit that Finnish stone out of play.
Make sure you give me that one as backing. I want that one as backing.
Oh, yeah.
So
A little more broom, please. Just a little more.
USA needs to put a rock into the full 8 foot. So that white circle, that's 8 feet in diameter. That's the amount of real estate that Kirk Black has. He's having an okay game. It's a little down from his last game. His draw percentage is 1 made, 1 missed, 1 made, 1 missed. He needs a make right now here for USA to even up the score line going into the halfway point. Looks pretty good.
Very nice.
And he does it.
Beauty. Yellow.
That is a lot of pressure. That is perfect performance from both those skips making their last shots. Both Sari
Great shot,
Karolainen
Kirk.
and Kirk Black having a battle at the skip position there. But by virtue of that last rock advantage, USA comes out
Nice shot, Kirk.
with a nice shot, scores 2 points.
Yeah, we
And
just keep it open.
that'll even things up as we head into the fourth end break.
Että melkoinen mäihä heillä siinä pois. Lähti sisälle ja sieltä mä Riitalle sanoin tuolla, että ettei vain ota hipuria
So
sieltä suojalta, niin sieltä.
These breaks, it's a chance for the athletes to confer with their coaches, the coaching staff, and their alternate player. They get an opportunity to refuel. These are long games. You need to keep your energy up.
Niin, yksi.
So Team Finland pretty happy with where things are sitting.
Joo,
Se olikin
niin.
semmoinen
All tied up.
Second, third, and fourth. Or they were in second. We were shot in second. They were laying third and fourth, playing for four, giving them the one.
So this is a perfect opportunity for the coaches to go through and tell you what you've done well and where you might need some work. So you're looking at the statistics here. They might look a little bit low, but we've talked about it's not necessarily how many you make. It's when you make the shots and which ones you make. And Finland strung together a series of great shots in the third end. Team's going to be talking about that and setting their game plans for the second half. So United States statistically a little bit higher than Finland, but scoreboard says they are all tied up. So USA just needs to settle down. I think get back to those draws. When they choose the draw shots, they are having a lot of success.
I switched out stones. Two's still a little iffy. I don't know what changed between practice and game.
Eikä ne toista kertaa tommosia kuuria saa. Yhden kerran sitä pelissä niin ei sitä mahdottomasti tule sitä.
So, and there's a look at the time clocks. Finland's got a little less than 19 minutes left for the second half. USA at 20. So both teams looking fine in regard to time. Finland down a little bit, but still looking okay. Final words of encouragement, and they head back out on the ice. Second half, this game is all tied up. It is a great game. There has been lots of fun shots, great setups, lots of rocks in play. We're getting a look at angles,
30 seconds.
super ice movement, and beautiful venue. And overall accuracy, as we're looking at it, we're still looking at Finland really even. 16-16 shot for shot at right around the upper 30 percentile. USA still having only thrown 3 hits.
13 should be good.
But we're tied. Back in action. Penny Greeley.
Good, PG. Good.
Let's go, P-Rig.
Who the technical challenges she was facing in the beginning, looks like they've kind of settled down. And she's managing those.
Nice, Penny.
Stick around. Stick around.
Take that.
Sticks around the back of the rings. We've seen that a little bit. Those first shots just sliding a little heavy for both teams. But quite often those rocks sitting back there in the back of the scoring area have hit the scoreboard. Rita Sarosalo struggling a little bit today per her norm, how she's been playing. This rock, though, it's like a nice corner guard. That's going to help those percentages a little bit. That's statistically absolutely perfect. So the idea of your USA, you want to control the center of the rings. You don't have the last rock advantage. You want to create traffic right in the middle, in the center. If you're Finland, you want to pull that traffic away to the sides of the ice and give yourself a path into the middle of the rings if you need it. That's why they throw a corner guard.
Good shot, Penny.
Penny puts another rock into the back of the rings.
Penny. Very nice.
USA sitting 2. Finland's got a couple of choices here. They could choose to ignore those USA stones in the back of the rings, but they're going to use them. They're going to try and run into them. So this changes kind of the margin of accuracy necessary. You've got some backing. Sarosalo can run her rock into those USA stones. But even better, if you come up a little bit light, you can draw right under the corner guard. Now look how hidden that is. USA knows that that is a dangerous stone. It's not only a stone that's in the rings. The real danger one is the one they can hide behind. This is the shot Justin's famous for. He's kind of up weights. He's a power player. He loves to throw these takeouts. And this is a peel. So there's a couple categories of takeouts that happen in the game. This is called a peel. They're looking to hit the finished guard out of play and roll the USA stone all the way out of the rings. Wow, that's a lot of momentum to move that many stones out of play. It's a bit unfortunate on the angles, but they accomplished the original goal, which was to remove the corner guard. You can see, bang, bang, bang. All those stones go out of play. Very strong athlete. Tapani Askelainen. He's going to draw this rock to the other side of the sheet. He's playing pretty steady. He's playing along the lines of how he's been playing the whole tournament. Well, it just comes up just a hair short. So it's super difficult in this sport because you have to be absolutely perfect. Since there is no sweeping, the perfection required is, it's daunting sometimes. Now Justin with that Finland stone coming up short of the rings. He's got an opportunity to take out the counter that's inside the rings.
Very nice, Justin.
And he sticks around.
There you go. 9-6. It's a nice stone.
Nice weight.
So Steve Empt, he is just a cheerleader. He absolutely loves it out here. His energy level is never super high, but it's always positive. Just generates a lot of positive momentum for his team. You gotta like that move. You gotta like, that's the second time we've seen Eero Tapani Jääskeläinen put a little heat onto that delivery stick. He's looking to get hot here with this next stone. So he needs a little bit more momentum, a little bit more pace. Tuck right around the guard that's up there that he just threw. Second time's the charm. Maybe he needs to put a little heat on that delivery stick every time. That's beautiful outcome there. USA can't do anything about that rock in the rings, so they're going to do something about the one that's outside of it. This is that peel shot again. Statistical player of the game, Steve Empt, 72%. Steady, steady, steady. He did have a miss on his last takeout.
Nice shot.
But there's no worries on this one. Opens up access to the counting stone that's in the rings. This shot selection is a little unusual. There's no real need for Finland to hit the USA stone, but I feel like that Markku Karjalainen really likes to throw the takeouts. Unfortunately, didn't quite have the line on that one. So a lot of times skips call shots when they've got options between A and B. They know what a player would rather throw. Because the tactical options out here, they're innumerable sometimes. They might seem kind of obvious going one way or the other, but factoring in how the ice moves, which shots a player really excels at, and this is from, this has to do with the turn or the rotation as well. Some players prefer a counterclockwise over a clockwise rotation. So that'll factor into shot selection. And then how the ice itself is moving, if there's any kind of stones that might have a unique surface. So these stones are natural granite. They come from an island off the coast of Scotland, Elsa Craig. So each stone has its own unique properties. And these teams, one of the great skills that they have, these athletes, is being able to manage those stones. What is the unique properties of the stone? They all weigh within a range. There's a range of weight to the stones, but it's a natural substance, that granite. So it has a natural density, might be slightly more dense on one side or the other. The edge or the running surface that's in contact with the ice might be a little bit sharper. So each stone moves a little bit more uniquely than another. These athletes become very good at reading the stones, and that goes into the shot selection as well. Now this is one of those situations where what shot to play, it's very clear. USA is going to play a takeout on the Finland stone. It's now how you play it. You could play it from either direction. Oftentimes it's more natural to throw right down the center of the ice. You can see that. That's where they're lined up with their chairs, right down the center of the ice with the stone. So they're playing from the inside to the outside. playing a pretty steady game. Really, the only tragic end he had was that third end, and it ended up being a big opportunity for Finland.
I don't know, take more room now.
It's not just more room, it's
I know, you're narrow, but it's been consistent, so just take more room.
All right.
Yeah, so
Or maybe, I don't know, hold it.
what's that?
Hold it before you, I don't know.
So they're talking a little bit about you have to be able to manage those misses, and you have to learn from them. So USA is going through, you know, what happened there, and that's a pretty big momentum shift. They had clear control if they had been able to execute that takeout, but just over curls. And now Karolainen gets a chance to put another rock into the scoring position. And this is one of those moments where you're going to try and create as much separation between the rocks as possible. This rock's got quite a bit of pace, but it's curling, and as it starts to curl, the momentum comes off it. You can see it slowing down. Is it going to stick around? And it does. Beautiful. And then they've got 5 feet of separation, 5 or 6 feet of separation between those rocks. She's really come to play here. She's settled in. She had a couple misses early. Now she's firing on all cylinders. So that's a look at the difference between draws and takeouts. This is a pretty big shot here for USA. This one's running a bit of a truer path, but it still over curls, just not quite enough ice to get the shot they were looking for. And it's a wide, relatively wide open house. Finland sits 1 right now.
Meillä ykkönen.
Joo,
Vai normimääris keskelle?
ihan normimääris.
So the scoring in curling, the way it works is only one team scores per end. And it's the team with the rocks closest to the center of the circles. Finland's already got one closer to the center of the circles before any of the USA rocks. And they're looking for a second point, and this looks pretty close. It's got to have a little legs, needs some momentum. Oh, comes up just short of the house. Oh, that's a, she knows that's an opportunity missed. But Finland still scores a point, and they take the lead back.
Oli virhe ehkä vaihtaa se linja.
Niin kun mä kysyin, että otatko sä sinne vai normi keskelle?
Kato, en mä kuule mitään. Mä olen sanonut sitä.
Näytin Viitalla näytin.
En mä ymmärrä.
Selvä. Anteeksi, oli minun vika sitten.
Joo, ei. Siis mä jälkeenpäin itekin.
No niin.
Ajattelin, että pystyy siihen niissä oli eri linja, niissä oli nihkeellä.
So these between end meetings, they're talking about what just happened. Finland gets one, they're up 5-4. We've got 3 ends left. Here we go. That's a look at the statistics of the game. The overall, Finland having a very balanced game shot-wise. USA sticking with the draws. In this situation, USA is down by a point, but all things holding kind of true to traditional form here, USA is going to have the hammer in the 6th end, and then likely again in the 8th end. That's kind of how you script it. Now, whether or not the rocks follow the script, that's why we're watching. See how it plays out. USA is going to put a rock over to the corner. They've played a couple of different tactics here. Sometimes they throw a corner guard, and sometimes they put the rock all the way into the scoring area or the house, those concentric circles. This one looks a little spicy, a little bit too much momentum there for Penny Greeley, and it slides right back through the field of play and out.
Next one.
And this gives Rieta Sarosalo a chance to put a rock closer to the center line, maybe right into the scoring area. And this one looks hot as well. Now Penny Greeley gets a chance to reset herself. She gets a chance to reset herself, and I like this change here. Kirk Black, the skip for USA, he's decided that they're going to use the finish rock in front of the rings. As protection. This rock just curling really hard. Does it get by? It does not, and it just doesn't have enough momentum. So that was a little bit light. So that was that overcorrection. It's really challenging, and sometimes speeds on the ice are different, going inside out or outside in. So, and sometimes you'll get into a bit of a straighter spot, so it's faster because the rock isn't traveling the same kind of lengthy trajectory. Those outside in shots have been curling quite a bit. Weight tends to come off them pretty quickly. Eero Tapani Jaskalainen has no trouble managing the speed of the ice. Puts a rock in a beautiful spot.
Want normal?
Kirk, normal?
You got it, bud.
So Justin watching this rock go down the ice, lots of intensity. Does he catch enough of it? He does, no problem. No problem. Great takeout. If that had curled a little bit more, his shooter would have stayed in play, which would have been ideal. But removing that stone was the primary goal, and well accomplished. Second from Lahti, Finland. He's going to try and put it back. He'd like it to curl a little bit more, maybe get a little bit more hidden behind cover. Weight looks really good. It's going to settle down to the back of the rings.
13 will do it.
And that set up those guards out front, the rock in the back of the rings. We saw how that worked for Finland in the third end and led to their very large crooked number of 4 points. architect Justin Marshall's hoping to build on that
Great eyes,
theory.
Justin. Go
13
on.
even. That's a beauty,
13-1.
Justin.
Come on,
Keep going.
walk. Come on.
Get up here.
He's going to take advantage of
go.
it, and
It's a beauty.
Shot, Justin.
Yes, sir.
that's really the shot of the
You guys
tournament
go.
for Justin Marshall. This is
Nice, Justin.
a great rock.
Great shot.
And the team knows it. You can hear him. I mean, they know that Justin loves to play takeouts, that the draw weight has been a bit of a challenge, and now all of a sudden he comes up huge in this sixth end. Oh, and Team Finland follows with an excellent shot. So now they've shrunk the scoring area. USA still shot stone, but that scoring area, you can see how small it is now. It's now not the whole 12 feet or even the 8 foot. It's smaller than the 4 foot red rings. And that stone's difficult to take out for USA. So they're gonna look to maybe do a setup shot here where they kind of freeze the stone down onto the corner of the finish rock. Just kind of change the positioning, take control of the angles a little bit. And it's up to the teacher. It's up to the teacher to set up these angles for him. Just comes up a little light, I think, but USA stone is well hidden,
Yeah,
well
when you put
protected.
down the broom, I was like,
Yeah.
I was gonna say something, but I'm like,
All those rocks lined up. Can Markku tap his other stone that he just threw? Can he change the angles or put Finland into a really powerful control spot? Make USA's next shot as difficult as possible? Oh, and boy, does he ever. What a shot. He now owns the center line. Finland's all the way into the 4 foot.
Pikkusen nousi liikaa.
Button it up. Yeah. Yep.
USA really can't do anything except
Same weight.
try and block access to the stone just thrown. You can see how those angles. Finland isn't counting yet,
edge of the 12.
but they don't need to be counting yet. They've put so much pressure on
A little
USA
more, Kirk.
that USA
more.
needs to block the access to the angles and make sure Finland can't run that stone on the top of the rings right back into the USA stone. Strongest player on the ice. It's all about this rock right here, right now.
Some work.
No, it's fine.
Nice stone.
Nice shot, Steve.
Nice
That
shot,
is a
Steve.
very important stone for USA. That is a very important stone. Even 1 point here puts the advantage, the kind of tactical advantage to USA. Pulling back even, knowing that they would have hammer or the last shot advantage likely in the last end. Now we know how much the ice curls here. Finland has a chance. They can get a rock right into the center of the circles. It's a small spot. It's a small spot, but it's possible to get there. You can see where she's aiming. The edge of that 12 foot. Clockwise rotation being put on that stone. It's going to travel from her left to right. She's got the right weight. You can see it start to curl. It starts moving in. Does it have the weight? A little bit short. little bit short there, but they own that side of the ice.
Yeah. Yep. So this guard, you did it last time.
What's
Same
that?
shot. You did it before. I saw the exact same guard.
So USA is choosing to guard. They could try and come all the way down into the rings, but they just feel it's a little bit dangerous. They're going to try and throw a guard and block access on the other side of the ice. The difficulty with this shot selection is that if you block Finland's access, you block your own as well. So by choosing this shot, USA is almost conceding the fact that they are only going to take one, not risk giving themselves the opportunity to score 2 points because of the angles not being in their favor. No rotation on the stone. It's just got no momentum. You can see it's starting to lose handle and dance kind of sideways. This goes down to that equipment challenge that USA has been having with its delivery sticks.
Does your other head work better? Yeah, I just...
Niin.
Tähän.
Joo.
Kympilät joko hirveän pitkällä tuolta
Ei, tää on liian pitkä.
niin nokka osumalla tai sitten sä taivutat tätä tähän.
Sitten se 10 ei voi olla.
Ei voi katsoa, se on hakkivoima joku 11.
Joo.
So coming down to take a look at the angles, make sure she's comfortable with what she's being asked to throw, that everybody's on the same page, and with that guard losing its handle and sitting off to the side there on the right bottom corner of your screen from USA, Finland's got an opportunity to get in there. Look at what potential here. If she throws the right weight, she gets past the red guard out in front of the rings, taps USA stone out, they'd be sitting 5.
Tähän näin.
Okei.
Onko se 10?
And she has been making quite a few shots as of late, taking the momentum up and down the Finnish lineup. They've been making shots and forcing USA into difficult positions.
Ei oo totta. Joo. Se on vähän niinku tilava ja sitten ei oo tilava.
And she's going to reset, checks her cue. So this is all about, she does a little bit of a push, she gets the pull, and then the release. So that grip action on the cue, really important. She ends up being a little bit narrow here. Is she going to be able to raise something in?
Absolutely. Throw it away.
So USA not going to try and put another stone in there. They see that it's a little dangerous. They're just going to throw their stone away, as it were, which basically means they're just going to push it to the boards, not throw the last stone, stop their clock.
Yeah, nothing wrong with that.
No.
And with that choice,
How do we want to play this?
USA takes a single point in that 6th end as they set their game plan moving forward. They're going through their options. Team Finland's going to be doing the same thing, talking about what their goals are for that 7th end. This game is all tied up. It's a back and forth match. Finland has the last stone advantage in the 7th end. And that's how it happened. We're all knotted up, 5-5. Huge difference in the game, that third end for Finland. Massive score of 4 points. And ever since
Very
then,
nice stone,
it's been
Penny.
really evenly
Way to
matched.
start it off.
Get on.
Very nice.
Nicely done, Penny.
Penny puts that stone
Good
out
girl.
on the top of the rings. Whole team's really happy with that. Finland taking a look at it. They've got a couple options. They can take that out because it's in the scoring area. Now, if that rock had stayed outside the scoring area, you couldn't remove it for play for a couple more stones. But Sarasalo's being asked to take it out. Trajectory looks pretty good for this. Just gonna get it right on the nose and stick right there.
Se oli hyvä. 11.
So because of where that stone is, that's in what's called the free guard zone area. And the free guard zone is in effect during the lead's rocks. And that means the other lead cannot take them out of play.
Yeah. 13-9.
14.
So there it is, free guard zone. That rock cannot be removed from play. So Finland's got to decide how to combat this. There's a couple of different things they can do. They're going to choose to draw around it. Now, you can see she moved to the other side of the ice. She's taking advantage of maybe running into their own red rock, tapping it on, splitting it on. This gives a greater window of weight that Sarasalo can throw. If she's perfect, it'll draw right into the center underneath the USA stone. If she's a little heavy or a little wide, she ticks off it. Really great awareness and great familiarity with
Which one? That one first?
how to get the
This one's
most
a
out of
little
your
bit
player
higher.
from
Okay.
Sari Caroline in there.
13.
Let's go, big dog. Come on
You
now.
got it. Come on, Justin.
Go eat.
I'm gonna reset.
We're good.
So the takeout's away, and this one is just curling a ton. They get rid of one rock. It's not the one they were hoping for, but it's removing either one of those finished stones was important for the goals of Team USA. I think we've seen a couple of times as these players are having a little bit of a challenge with the delivery cues, how the head is connecting to the handle of the rock, making sure whenever they have any challenge that they do a really solid reset mentally and making sure they're still on the correct angle for delivery. Really vital for these players. Near perfect draw weight, the last couple ends continues.
Se oli hyvä. Se oli nätti. Paljon Ritu oli aika? Paljon oli aika?
27.
Joo.
Here it goes right around. Look at that. So it passes by the outside stone and then sits almost all the way underneath it. This ice is curling so beautifully. The conditions here for these athletes are just incredible.
Got this, buddy.
So many different types of shots are available with that kind of
13,
movement in the
13.
ice. for a run, take out, over curls again, just a little bit. Finland sitting, a rock on the 4-foot, a rock biting the 12-foot directly in front of it. And now I think Finland's going to try and create some separation. Or she's going to draw, maybe put a guard up.
Etusininen.
So they've decided to put a guard up. They could come into the rings and put a third point into the rings. But they're thinking, we'll just guard this really good situation that we've got going. This rock sliding into the rings. That's well played. Nice angles there. It's going to be tough for USA to get rid of
13.
multiple rocks. You can see those angles. USA, their goal here isn't going to be shot rock. It's going to be remove a couple of the finished stones that are in the rings. Eyeing it as it goes down. Willing it to keep the line or to move to the line they need. It's a good shot. Create some space in the rings. That is a beautiful shot for USA.
Great shot.
Here you go. One into the other, and then both of those finished stones spill out of the rings. That moves the needle for USA. Finland's still in the control position, though. They've got a rock fully into the scoring position in the 12-foot circle. Marco Karolainen. This rock's curling really hard. Still got some space to get around. If the weight's right, this is going to be a fantastic shot. It's got to get by, though. Just ticks. Oh, now it's choice time for USA. They could try and run their yellow stone into the rings.
That one's gone. This one runs back into here. You can hit this one thick. Hit this one thick and then even just roll here is fine. Okay.
So they're kind of going over the angles of how the stones are going to move. What are the options? And when you pick a shot in curling, you kind of want to have the A shot. The number one shot that we want is this. But then the tolerance is here. This is our B option. And this is an acceptable outcome. So going through and giving yourself the best opportunity to get some production out of each rock is really important. That rock bounces just a little bit coming off the cue.
More, right there. Stay.
Willing it to hold the line.
Good shot.
Good shot.
Now you wonder whose shot. Is it USA's yellow shot, rock on the left? Finland's rock on the right? Oh, by virtue of wanting the tap, looks like USA is shot. Excellent stone from Steve Empt.
Määris plus. Ja määris plussa vaan.
Just needs to touch it. If he touches his stone, it's going to be count. But unfortunately, he touched the yellow one first. USA is still shot rock on the top left.
You bang it, it's gone.
So the back one's on the top one. We knows that there, then it's going to be yellow-red, which is great. Absolutely, I like that a lot. Yeah, bang it. Plug it in, buddy.
So Steve Empt clearing a little bit of piece of debris he found on the ice. It's very important. So he's sweeping something off to the side of the boards. Any little bit of debris on the ice could change the trajectory completely.
I think we bang it and make sure we're just the only one in the house. Keep it clean.
So you're going to nose it?
Let's go this way.
All right, you got it. 13. Right to me. Plug it in. You got this.
So it's a chance for Kirk Black to come back really strong. He had a couple of challenges with his takeouts. The last couple of ends, he's had a little bit of struggle with his cue and the amount of rotation that's happening for his stones. Super time for him to make one is right now. Looks pretty good. The line looks pretty good.
What's done?
And he just removes that finished stone right out of play.
Nyt se kannattaa tökätä, koska se, kato, se pien sitä ei ole enää olemassa. Niin kato, se nyt tulee aika hyvin. Sitten se tulee tänne. Niin se on siellä suojassa sitten. Nyt ottaa kät tuohon. Mikä merkki?
You can see the lineup on that stone. It's kind of wired right into the center of the circles. Finland could either tap this rock back or she can draw around it.
Se samako sulle?
Onko se tämä?
Joo.
Putting a little bit of that lucky mojo on that delivery stick. Making sure it's got a little bit of grip so she gets the right rotation and the right action off the cue. That was really close to being absolutely perfect. She almost split both finished stones onto the rings. Sounds to take out. Ideally, USA would like to hit about half of the red stone to the left of third Steve Empt's brush and roll right onto the rings. Really steady body position there, really steady body position. This rock is curling a ton. It needs to hold the line. And he gets it. USA sitting 1 and 2 right now.
Good shot, bud.
Sorry, Karolainen, gonna try that tap one more time.
Eihän siellä ole mistä hei. Ei siellä ole väliä.
The stone's getting just slipped away from her a little bit. And now she's got it. So this is what happened in the last end. She needs to do a full reset here. She needs to do a full reset, make sure everything is in line, trajectory is solid. And give it a really accurate attempt. Weight looks good. Looks like a nice shot. She taps that right to the button, right over the agitos. That's why the skip gets paid the big bucks. Did a nice job managing that. And puts Finland in front. All important lead going into the 8th end. Setting themselves up to take their first win potentially. Finland 6, United States of America 5. Taking a check back in on those statistics. Both teams really settling in the second half and having a nice second solid series of play. And you can see that from the line score, right? Finland taking 1, USA taking 1, Finland taking 1. Everything's settled in, nice and even. Finland's got a single point advantage right now. And with that, they're going to try and put this first stone right in the center of the rings. Give USA something to think about. It's okay if it comes up short and sits in that free guard zone area. This one's definitely got enough momentum to hit the paint. Right into the house. USA's Penny Greeley in her attempt to win her second Paralympic medal. Needs to make this takeout right here to help set USA up to score 2 points and try and take a victory. That first medal was a bronze medal. It came in sitting volleyball. Oh, and she just doesn't get quite enough of the Finland stone, and it stays on the rings. The worst part about that for USA is that their shooter, their potential scoring rock, rolled out of play.
Hyvä, 14-7, hyvä Ritu, hyvä korjaus.
15-6.
5-6.
13.
So that rock up in the free guard zone can't be removed from play. It's blocking directly in front of the center of the bullseye, the center of the house, that scoring area. And that's where 2004 sitting volleyball bronze medalist Penny Greeley would like to land this stone.
13-9.
Just a hair short here. And now all of a sudden that congestion out front, that plays into Team Finland's game plan. They're up 1. The way into the center of the circles is blocked, and if they can put a rock in there, and if the play from the last 3 ends is any example, Jääskeläinen has the potential to put another perfect rock in the rings here. Really outstanding management of the ice speed, the draw weight. His play in the second half has been all-star caliber. This one's curling a little bit too much for him, but can see all those rocks in front of the rings. That's going to create some
And
panic
Penny
for
at
USA.
14-13.
Okay. So 13.
And all the play is now
13-5.
going into the center. They had tried to put play into the wings. Lead's first rock slipped through. Second rock hit and rolled out. And now it's, to use a poker phrase, all in. 31-year-old Justin Marshall. He's got the responsibility on his shoulders to put this rock underneath cover, hopefully above the center line.
12-4.
Nice stone.
Sit.
Very nice, Justin.
Sit. Sit.
It's a beauty, Clark.
And does a great job there. If that had been 6 inches shorter, would have been perfect. But as it sits now, it's pretty close.
Nyt sinne nojalle. 12-4.
Joo.
So this is an opportunity. If Jaskalainen can get this stone right down in. Oh, he's going to do the reset. He's got the heavy. He's going to put the heat on it. Lines back up. Last time this happens, he threw the best rock of the game. The opportunity here for Finland. They can come right to the face, right to the nose of the USA stone.
13-2.
Well, that opportunity is gone, and now all of a sudden, USA is sitting game.
Right out here.
They're sitting too.
Shorter better, right? It's okay if it's short, right?
You want 2-3 or you want like 3-4?
I like 2-3.
All right.
So they're talking about leaving the short of the rings.
Yeah, plenty of room.
You got this.
I think it would be okay if USA slipped into the rings and put another rock into count position. But they do want to take this path, this side of the ice away. They're trying to block the way into the scoring area for Finland.
13-3.
Like it. Very nice.
Very nice,
A
Joe.
little bit of a tick, and it
That'll work.
sits in the exact spot that his skip had requested. He's pleased about it.
Meidän pitää saada toinen
Checks up with
pois
the
aina.
fans, gives a little clap.
Mitä?
Yksi voidaan antaa,
Joo.
on jatkopäätä, mutta toinen pitää saada niin.
Niin.
Meidän täytyy olla punaisella, eikö?
Tällä
So this
puolella
setup,
Niin.
ja sitten se aukaisee tuossa
Niin.
everybody going through what it means. Finland needs to try and hold USA to 1 and force this game to an extra end. USA trying to take 2 points here. If Finland could find a way into the rings and sit shot stone, they could take this game. Finland's going to try and open it up. We know Markku loves to throw these big takeout weights. Kind of following in the great Finnish tradition in curling.
Vähän isompi.
Vieläkö?
Oh, the athletes from Finland can throw a lot of power. They're looking to clear a path into the rings here. That's a pretty outstanding shot to run the USA rock out of the rings. And what it did is it created some clear angles. Here you go. Right past, right in. Knocked one of the stones away. But now all of those Finnish stones that are out in front of the rings, you can see they have clear paths to be run back in. That same kind of shot. USA is going to hope that Finland can't do that.
You don't want to come in?
That's fine. We just want to make sure we're buried.
All right.
We can come in.
4, 5 and both.
So USA just making sure they're on the same page in regard to the goal of this shot, what they're trying to do. Really smooth coming off the end of the cue. Stone looks a little light. Just didn't have the momentum. I think there was a little bit of doubt between what shot to throw and how to execute it there. And when you have a little bit of doubt as an athlete, it's very hard to commit yourself to the throwing mechanics.
Maybe a couple feet short, but
Tällä tuohon osunut.
Ei osuttu.
No saattaisi, jos se tähän osuu, niin sitten se osuu tuohon ja sitten se rollaa tähän.
No niin.
So talking about the A plan and the B plan. The A plan is to run this rock directly back onto the USA stone in the forefoot. The B plan would be to hit a little bit on the inside and kind of clear and open up that whole side of the sheet.
Lähti sisällä.
No niin, lähti.
Joo.
So a little bit narrow on that shot. Said so right away. But you can see that there is now a hole there. That rock is open.
3-4.
Team Finland can see the USA stone that's in the forefoot. Not super pleased with that. Came up a little bit narrow. It wasn't the exact path they were hoping to open up, but they did open up a path.
Jopa harmi, kun lähti sisään.
Joo, se lähti.
USA needs to
Joo.
make a couple of choices. They can draw a rock in. They can try and close down the path. If you were to see pictures of Steve Empt from rock to rock, just little video snippets, he does the same thing in the same exact way every time. He is trying to make his delivery as
Very nice.
controlled and predictable
Very nice.
as
Come on,
possible
a little further. That's fine.
in order to make any corrections as necessary. That rock over curls a little bit on him, but it does make the path a little bit smaller.
What's that? Well, if you were sitting too.
There's the port.
Ota kivi tälle puolelle, kannattaa ottaa sivuun vähän se, että se ei nouse liikaa.
Tänne.
Joo.
This shot right here with that port being open. Gives Finland a chance to really take the game in this opportunity. She can hit just a little bit of the USA stone to get it off the rings and roll behind so much cover. There are so many rocks in front of the rings. But this is the chance.
Lähti sisälle.
And it is curling right away. Doesn't make it through the port. Does she get the run? No, not quite.
So, I think we got to make sure with this first one that we just block this up.
oh, I think, yeah, absolutely.
Oh, that's an opportunity lost, but almost capitalized on the B option with the run back.
power of the guard.
Plug her up.
Plug her up.
Plug it up.
Outside the 12.
You got this, Kirk.
There you go.
Oh, that's a lot.
All you have to do is get past those other ones, and you're good.
So they're just talking about the ice, where they've set the trajectory, making sure everyone, because they've all been watching. Each of these athletes watch every rock
a little less.
go down the ice. So now with that feedback from Justin Marshall and Penny Greeley, Skip Kirk Black asked for a little bit less ice from the third Steve Empt. And they want this rock to block that port. So they watch it go down.
Over that. Come on. Come on. Come on.
So does it block it enough? I think there might still be a hole there.
Not bad. Not bad.
About 3 feet. Yeah.
It's just coming over at the end.
There might still be a hole there. There might be a way in there for Team Finland. So that was a moment, potentially USA could have been a little more aggressive and tried to come all the way into the rings. Just throw a little bit more weight. They're so intent. They want to get through this hole. It's close. She's passed. Does she have it? Beautiful shot. Now there is no way for USA to win this game right here. They've got to draw in there. Right through the port, right past all those guards. Bang. And it takes away USA's shot to win the game here. She is so relieved. USA needs to put this rock into the 8-foot area. So it's the same path that they just threw on. Kirk struggled a little bit with his draw statistics.
Come on. Come on.
Oh, and just doesn't have quite enough ice and has a little bit of trouble landing that rock into the 4-foot. And with the excellent shot, excellent play by Team Finland. They get themselves into the win column. The lineup change was successful. And it comes down to their leader, Sari Karolainen, making that beautiful last takeout for Team Finland as they throw a little respect to their fans. It's a nice moment for the husband-wife duo that plays back end.
Joo, hei, takaisin.
USA's got to be disappointed. They started so strong.
All right.
You see that final score. Finland 8, United States of America 5. So this really is the story of just a couple of moments where Finland knew exactly which shots to make, and USA skip struggled a little bit at the end of the games, had trouble finishing. We can see the percentages there. And really, it's not about how many shots each of these players made. It's about when they made them. And Finland came up big when they needed to. USA had a nice game statistically. You look at this stat line, and it's pretty solid. But you need to really capitalize on the last stone of each end. And USA just couldn't do that in this session. Really, the big scores. Couple of stolen points for USA didn't really come into factor because they gave up the very large score of 4 points in the third end. And then the second half, Sari Karolainen, championship performance. "35 countries from around the world play the sport of wheelchair curling. 12 nations are here this week competing at the Paralympic Games. In this session, it was all about Team Finland. Up and down the lineup, they made the shots when they needed to, and they really put pressure on Team USA, and Finland came away with an 8-5 victory. And that puts Finland into the win column for the first time. And they'll be playing again, and they'll look to continue this success. Thank you so much for joining us. Please keep watching.